Between 6 and 20 people, these are the number of people that are involved in a B2B purchase. It could be 6 people being involved, but it could go up to 20 people if you take into consideration the stakeholders and other people. But are you talking to those people? Have you identified all those people? In most cases, no. We usually speak with 1 or 2 persons when we are working on an opportunity and we are missing critical information and critical elements to that. In order to help understand who those stakeholders are, who those people are, I like to use the FRIENDS acronym. Because at the end of the day, we really want to make friends and make business at the same time. Let's start with the F. The F is the final approval or the decision maker. The final approval is really critical. That person needs to be able to say yes to make sure that everything goes through, that is maybe even the signer on the order form. And so when you work on an opportunity, it's really critical that you're able to answer 3 questions. The first one is, do you know who that person is? The second question is, do we have direct connection to them? So do we know them personally? So we'll put connection. And finally, it's all about the sentiment. The key idea there is that you might know who that person is. You might even have a connection with them. But if the sentiment of that person is negative, your deal is going nowhere. And this is where the key of stakeholder mapping is critical. So let's say we have positive sentiment from that person on that initiative. The second one is the recommender. So the person that recommends going forward. That person is normally someone you know. So you have built some relationship, you have built some trust with them, and you have a connection with them as well. And then in order for them to recommend, they need to have a positive sentiment, but not just feeling positive about it. It needs to be really double about it. Because what we see a lot of opportunities where the champion, even though they're really interested going forward with you, they are still not sure that it might not fire back on them. And so they might have fears that making that decision could have a negative impact on their business or even on their career. The third one is IT. And I'm using IT because I think in all decisions nowadays, there is some technology element to it. If you're selling technology or not, there will be some IT involvement. It might be an architect, it might be a developer, it might be any kind of CIO role that is involved in the purchase. And again, if your solution or your product has an impact on the technology stack of your client, IT becomes very critical. And so it's really important that you understand who they are, that you build a connection with them, and that you are able to provide positive sentiment. Then you need to know who's going to pay for that. And that's really an important detail. And that's why we have the economic buyer. What you may say is, well, we have the final approver. Isn't that the economic buyer? Well, not always. In many cases, you might have a final approver who might be the CFO that needs to put their signature below the paper. But the economic buyer might be the director of the department that has that budget and that can allocate that budget. So it's really important that you don't assume that these 2 people are the same. In many cases, they're not the same. And again, the game is pretty much the same. Who they are, what is their role, do you have a connection, and what is the sentiment? Then everything is not beautiful. And even though we try to build some friendships, we might have some naysayers. And the naysayers are the ones that are really against your project. And there might be multiple reasons why. Maybe what you're proposing is against one of their own projects. It might be that you have competing projects with different budgets that are being competing for that same pot of money. It might be that your solution might displace their role, their team, or anything else that they cherish. And so it's really important that you know who those naysayers are, because even though you have the impression that your recommender, the IT, even the economic buyer are with you, if those naysayers have an important politics power, then it might fire back on that. And so it's really important that you understand who they are. Ideally, you build a connection with them, or at least you need to help your recommender to have the proper arguments to make sure that the naysayer don't have too much weight on the scale. And so, unfortunately, they might be less happy. Then, the key elements, it's great to speak with the business and maybe the decision makers, but at the same time, you need to be talking to the direct users as well. And the direct users are really critical, especially nowadays. Direct users have more and more say in how they want to work, what they need, and how they want to evolve moving forward. And so what you really need to do is to make sure that you know who those users are. You need to understand what are the bottlenecks they have, what kind of challenges they have, in order to build a positive sentiment and a connection with them. And finally, the signers. And I'm really saying signers plural. And you might say again, well, Sultan, you discussed the final approver and the economic buyer. What are the signers? Well, in some organizations, you might have, let's say you are selling a technology product for the marketing teams. So the marketing manager might be the economic buyer. The final approver might be the CMO, but the signers might be the CFO, the CIO, and the CFO. And so you really need to be able to understand who they are. You need to build connection with them, and you need to make sure that there is a positive sentiment and that they understand the value. So let's discuss a couple of scenarios. So I'm currently working on a deal where I'm really building a close relationship with our recommender. And he's really happy about it. Our recommender needs to go to the economic buyer and tell them, hey, this is the right decision to do. So what you need to do, you need to give them the weapon and information that they need to go influence those people. So what is information you will give to the recommender so that they can go to the economic buyer and tell them, okay, this is the percentage, this is the ROI that we'll make, this is the impact it will make on our strategy. Same thing for IT. Your recommender might need to go to IT and help them to showcase them. How is this going to influence their architecture? What will be the benefit for them? Again, different set of benefits. Same thing, the recommender needs to know what the naysayers are saying and make sure that he can turn them into actually supporter of the initiative. The direct users, I would not recommend starting with them. I would recommend having them in a second phase, but they're really critical. And so the recommender needs to be able to help map actually what those direct users are, what are their needs, and it needs to be a bi-directional relationship with them. And then finally, for the signers, it might be an entire signing process. And so what you need to be able to do is to understand who are the signers. Are there some legal requirements? Are there some specific elements that you need to take into consideration to make sure that you get the deal signed in due time? So in a nutshell, what we are saying here is that whenever you are working on a deal, it is really critical that you map actually all those people. Pretty easy. You just make an Excel sheet for yourself if you want, and you define actually in each and every single of your opportunities the FRIENDS acronym. Who is the final approver? Who's the recommender? Is there an IT involvement and who it is? Who is the economic buyer? Who are the naysayers and what are they saying? What are direct users? And finally, the signers. I hope that this video on stakeholder mapping was useful for you. If you're interested in how to apply that in real life, click the link on the description where you will find a link to my mapping document where you can easily fill that in and work on that. I'll see you in the next one. Please check out the next video and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.